We do indeed, my beautiful Cape Town family. Thank you so much. And Mzansi, that is the thing. The South African creator economy is no longer just a side note. No, my friend, it's actually where people are making real income, big numbers even. But now, when we're talking about numbers, sometimes it comes in different forms of payment, from freebies to, I don't know, a flight here or there, or whatever it may be that isn't necessarily just money. So we're getting to the crux of it. What does this mean exactly? And we're getting to understand with two people who are leading us in the right direction in terms of what exactly is going to be happening with the taxman and South African influencers and content creators. So here to help us out, it is Luncedo Mtwentwe, here to explain in plain language how exactly this is all going to work, as well as chartered accountant Hiten Kashav. Everyone, let's give them a beautiful feel-good welcome, please. Hello, gentlemen. How are you?
How's it doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. I feel like, you know, Graham used the best word. He said it's a gray area for a lot of people at the moment. So this is why I want us to jump right into it. You know, in plain words, what does SARS see as income for creators, particularly those that are getting freebies or even just, you know, nice to haves here and there?
Yeah. I think what is important is to know that, look, the influencer economy is growing, right? And in the next 5 or 10 years, we're expecting over R1 billion in terms of the value they're going to be contributing to the economy.
Wow.
So therefore, it's very important that whoever now that is an influencer understands the rules and the compliances, especially when it comes to SARS. And therefore, it is important that people know that if you are a continuous or regular influencer and you're actually generating income out of it, SARS can look at that as a form of that now you are sort of like trading, you're sort of like you have an enterprise because you are generating an extra income. In terms of our taxation laws, then you have to declare any extra amount of money that you are getting on top of, for instance, of your salary.
Yes.
So therefore, things like, you know, your freebies, the gifts or the flights or the accommodation that is being given to you, that is sort of like an income, however, in kind, even though sometimes it doesn't come via cash.
Yes.
So therefore, you have to provide the market value for all of these gifts that you have received. You declare them to SARS because they are considered that, of course, you did get some value at the end of the day. With that value, there is a price amount in relation to that. So therefore, if you are flying, what is the market value for that flight? If you stay in accommodation, what is the market value for that accommodation that we're given for like a week or two or so? So therefore, it's 10,000 rands value. You know, you declare that in kind. That is part of the income that you have received. So if it's cash, of course, you have to put that cash as well and declare that to the taxman and pay the tax according to the sliding scale that would have generated in that financial year.
Oh, wow. And this for me, I mean, I started hearing this conversation and I was like, I'm not 100% sure what this exactly means. So Hiten, I want to come to you because why is it now that all of a sudden SARS has decided that it is going to be understood that way, where even these non-cash items are going to be understood as income?
Well, I think it's not now. This has always been the case with SARS. But if you look at the trends that are going on in the news, SARS has tightened up on the collection side of things when it comes to revenue itself. And SARS is now also introducing AI into the whole collections process. So whatever bank account in that you may have and things are flowing into it, SARS is now being able to see what's moving in and out of your account. And so you can't hide things very easily at the moment. So it's imperative for entrepreneurs, influencers out there, like Luz mentioned, this economy is going to get to over R1 billion in the next 2 to 3 years.
Yes.
And whatever takes place in that, be compliant, be smart about how you go about it. Register a business on that end so that you can then also claim back expenses. Like Luz said, there's so many things that you have to declare on the income side. But if you're smart about it, the expenses like the lighting, any camera equipment, any usage of personal space, and that can be declared as costs so that you can claim it back.
Yeah. That's incredible. That, you know, at least if we're clued up, then we know how to be able to go about it, right?
Exactly.
But Luncedo, I want to come to you. You know, after each job that, let's say, you know, an influencer does or a creator does, you know, what's the one line a job log note a creator should possibly make so nothing necessarily gets lost when they're really doing their job?
Yeah. So what is important, I always say, you need to treat yourself now as a business, right? Because you are generating income, all right?
Yes.
So you need to have either... There's no official logbook, all right? If it means you need to have an accounting system, have that.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to say, I spend X amount on traveling. I spent X amount on a subscription or the softwares and all of that. I spend X amount on getting the camera. So therefore, even if you're using your Excel, but as long you keep your books in order. Because at the end of the day, if SARS decides to audit, you need to provide evidence in form of invoices, in form of all of the expenditures that you have incurred. So therefore, even when you're dealing with brands, you have to start now sending them even invoices yourself to say, I will issue an invoice in relation to this one, because you can be looked at either as a sole proprietor or a provisional taxpayer, where you have to declare this every 6 months. So it's no longer about something that you declare only once a year. And the moment you do that, at least it helps you that you don't have a huge tax bill at the end of the year. Every 6 months you declare because you are considered as a provisional taxpayer. So therefore, just get your house in order, get your books in order, have your file, have your Excel, or have an accounting system, or get a tax practitioner who can advise to structure that as a business for you.
Incredible. And he said you keep on smiling whenever Lungato is talking. Why are you smiling so much?
I'm laughing at it because Luis is talking about the basic principles that business owners so often sweep under the carpet.
Really?
Compliance, keeping a record of all your information, your invoices and your expenses. Simple basic things. And he's even mentioned, if you don't have an accounting system, Excel, it's a free tool. Use it just to monitor and track. And so many SMEs, entrepreneurs and sole proprietors don't do that. Now, to his point also, on the tax law side, it doesn't mean that if you trade as an individual business or a sole proprietor or small business, that the tax benefit, you're going to get hit. There's actually benefits to it because the tax laws and the tax tables are designed for small businesses to be beneficial to them. For example, your first million rand is not, or it's taxed at 1%. He's the expert at it. But those are small benefits that so many business people out there don't realize.
And I mean, when it comes to our influencers and our creators, like we said, the specific industry is growing rapidly. So this is why they even get international huge jobs. So Hiten, I'm going to ask you, we're going to jump into an advert now, but when we come back, I want to understand exactly what it is they can do when they do get paid from outside sources. And of course, Mzansi, this is where we get to understand a little bit more about this big conversation that is happening at the moment around the tax man and influencers and content creators. It is a brand new industry, but what does it all mean when we talk about where exactly it is going in terms of that? It's all going to be happening, but then we're also going to be jumping on into a little bit of a recipe. You know we love our food here on Expresso. It is a 10-minute chili garlic noodles. Now, I don't know what that 100% means. That's why I'm going to be busy right here, making sure what is going down there in Cape Town is part of my recipes that I'm adding to mine. Do not go anywhere. We're going to take a short break, and we'll see you after this.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back, Mzansi. Always so good to be with you. We are finding out this morning, what does it mean in terms of, SARS pretty much saying to the influencers and content creators that it's time to be compliant. We're finding out how exactly they can stay on the right side of history, on the right side of finances, and so much more. And yes, we've been getting into what exactly it is that they're getting taxed on. And helping us out today, it is Hiten as well as Lungato. And gentlemen, I had just left us off where I said, a lot of our content creators are lucky enough to work with international brands. So when they do work with an international brand, Hiten, what exactly happens? How are they able to make sure that they are complying when it comes to SARS and tax?
Well, firstly, if you're going to work with international brands, sometimes international brands are going to ask you, do you have a registered entity, or are you acting in your own sole capacity? Now, in a registered entity's perspective, most international brands are going to ask you for tax clearance certificates. They're going to ask you for company registration documents. And on the tax clearance certificate side, it's important that you're going to have to submit your returns now on SARS itself. And that means either annual returns that you have to declare, sometimes provisional tax needs to be declared. Secondly, if the international brand is paying you from an overseas account, when that payment comes in, it has to get cleared by the Reserve Bank. So there's a BOP form that the Reserve or the international company will have to complete to say that they're paying you. And then that, whether it's a consulting fee or whatever the code that they use, that information is kept on record. Now, if SARS gets hold of that record and you don't declare that correctly if you're acting in your own capacity, that's a red flag that you'll be caught on. And why I say that is, think about it, as an influencer and a content creator, the lifestyle you're projecting on social media is accessible to everyone.
Facts.
And if you're living a lavish lifestyle on social media and then SARS goes and checks all your returns that you've declared and they don't match, that's going to cause an even bigger alarm bell coming down to your throat to say, hello, we see some things not matching here, we need to audit you. And when it comes to audit, you have to then declare all your information. Alternatively, you have the process of doing what we call a voluntary disclosure procedure on tax. So if you know that you've made a mistake in honesty, you're able to then rectify that mistake through a VDP.
Okay, so not all hope is lost if you find yourself on the wrong side of life. And this is why now, I guess, then we need to always make sure that we're checking where we are. So Luncedo, what is the quickest way to check your current SARS status and also just to spot any obvious mismatches?
Yeah, I think what is important also is that the viewers should not be scared of SARS.
Okay.
So that's number one.
Okay.
And people shouldn't look at SARS as out there to get them. No. All SARS is doing is just to follow and enforce the legislation, right? So number two, the way that taxation laws in South Africa works is that they work on voluntary disclosure basis, right? So people shouldn't be scared or fear that SARS knows everything about them. So all was clear, you declare, then SARS receives what you have declared. Then, of course, they would perform the verification in terms of reasonability basis to say, hold on, you have declared 300,000 rands, but you've made or you've bought a house worth 5 million rands. How does that work? Do you understand? So all of that information can be easily accessible because this is a government agency. They've got access to different agencies they actually work with.
Yes.
So people shouldn't be scared of that.
Yes.
So number two, so in terms of also if you want then to declare, go to e-filing. E-filing is your way to go. SARS has been clear to say, look, they want to be digital as much as they can. You don't have to go to the branch and be standing on the queues and all of that. Everything is easily accessible online. Go www.sars.gov.za. And again, if you're not aware about what you need to do, on that website, there are guides on each and every step of what you need to do. So if you're not sure about what to declare, what to save, and all of those kind of things, the guys are there to really show you even how e-filing in relation to that works. So people must just be open and engage SARS and not be scared that, okay, I'm going to be caught and all of that. Of course, when there's an audit, then that's when they confirm what you've declared, indeed, if it is true. Therefore, if they realize that there's more to it, then that's where the penalties then start.
Then
to
you'll
kick
get
in,
into
and
trouble.
You get into trouble.
Yes.
So let's create, I think, that platform or that environment that people shouldn't feel that government is out there to get their tax money.
It's Kebengas that are scared of SARS.
No.
As taxpayers, we're not scared. That's what it is, son. But Iten, I want to come to you, please, because I want to understand when we talk about a tax jar. How is it that people are able to set it aside and why is it so important, would you say?
Simple principle, cash flow management.
Okay.
Cash flow 101. Understand what comes into your bank account and what goes out of your bank account. That's monthly budgeting expenditure that you got to do in life. And that is done through a simple Excel sheet. You can get a template of Excel and just type in search for a budget template. And all you got to do tracking is what is coming inside, what's coming outside. Principles at a high level that every individual should look at is 50% of your income is generally towards expenditure on a monthly basis. 30% you should be keeping aside for savings purposes. And the 20% is an emergency rescue that you should have. Of that 30%, keep aside 10% of that cash so you know that you have to settle SARS in future. However, again, going back to the process, if you ensure that you keep all your claims on the expenditure side correctly, you may actually be able to get a refund from SARS. And if you get the right fringe benefits put in place for you, for example, travel allowances and that, when you're traveling and you have that into your expense claims, you'll find that you'll get a rebate from SARS. So it's not all lost that you have to be paying SARS. You just have to be smart about how you structure it.
Yes, amazing. Gentlemen, thank you so much for breaking this down so nicely for us. I'm hoping that our influencers are listening. And thank you so much for being here this morning.
Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Of course. This is what we love. Getting knowledgeable about the things that we might not have known much about. And this is what we get into right here on your Feel Good Breakfast show. For now, though, my beautiful Cape Town family, I mean, earlier on, we called it a grey area. I think Iten and Lungeto have helped us just to kind of even out what exactly it is we can understand from this, friends. My Graham and my Carissa and you, Grant, are you guys feeling a little bit more clear on it now?